This is the first time that Nigerians will unanimously come up with a catchphrase that is popular in all parts of the country, the north, the south, everywhere, and everyone is no gree, no gree, even outside the country, no gree. Everyone is
There's a saying that goes like this: different strokes for different folks. And I think in Hausa there's something that tells you, translates loosely like if one person goes to the market and then dances and he's given money, another person might go and dance and the person will be beaten. We woke up this year, January, to hear this particular slogan: no gree for anybody, everywhere, and the whole thing has caught fire. Now, there are different reactions. Just like however you choose to react to something makes it different whenever you get results for your reaction to that. We have the same thing happening in the country, young people, everyone talking about no gree for everybody, for anyone this year. And then there are two reactions from two forces, literally, because one calls itself the Nigerian police and the other one is actually the armed forces. So you can see there are two forces. This podcast today is going to just shed some light on how two forces, as it were two authorities in Nigeria, are able to just take a look at one particular slogan and make a meaning with it. And I tell you, it's actually on two different directions. So joining me today as usual, we have Rashida Bang, and then of course we have Blessing to Know, and we are going to be dissecting this issue of no gree for anybody in 2024. No gree
for anybody. What was your first impression of no gree for anybody? I'm going to say mine, but I want to hear yours first. When you first heard it, what was your first impression of it? Before we delve into what the two forces said about it.
Yeah, so the first time I saw it, and the first thing that came to my mind was like, this year will be just bass books. Don't be a pushover, don't allow anybody to run you over. It comes with the sense of violence,
Yes.
And also coming from social media where the youths dominate. Everybody's saying, no gree for anybody this year. The first thing that comes to mind is, this year, everybody is going to be hard. Everybody is going to stand on his or her ground. Nobody will allow anybody to run them or push them over. That was the first thing that actually came to my mind before I began to see different perspectives about this particular slogan.
So initially, you didn't have any positive connotation as far as you were concerned?
The first time I saw it.
Well, like Charles said, different strokes for different people. And for me, when I first saw it, I had this impression that it was a resilience kind of slogan, no gree for anybody, no gree for whatever held you back in the previous year, we always have New Year resolutions, in January, New Year, new me, and all of that stuff. So for me, maybe because of the usage, because of how the person that I first saw it from, how they used it, it came across to me like a resilience kind of slogan. But then I started seeing the violence aspects that you were talking about. I started seeing it being used in certain ways, and I started questioning the first translation of that phrase. So I'm wondering what Charles felt when you first saw it.
Honestly, to me, it was also kind of negative.
Oh, wow.
Because I felt it's a new year, and people should turn a new leaf. People should try to be a better version of themselves. And to me, no gree for anybody comes to me like violence. It's not like a gentler, a better, a more humane part of you. I felt it was like, okay, this time around, I can't let anybody just push me around. I want to do whatever I want to do in my life, and nobody should tell me anything about it. That was the kind of vibe I got from that no gree from anybody. And moving on, I was like, oh, well, this is going to put somebody in trouble, because we started seeing where a small car was now telling the driver of a trailer, no gree, I know the gree for anybody this year, and he crushed him. So I looked at
claiming rights.
Claiming rights. You don't know that when you're a road user, it is who is left, not who is right. Who is left actually after the impact. So that's basically it. So honestly, it was negative for me. Negative.
So what are the military, the security forces saying? You know, we have the military and the police. What are they saying about
You know, like always, when things come in Nigeria, you find that the way the masses perceive it is different from what those in leadership position they perceive it. Now, this one, even us, the masses, we do not get the same perception. Not to talk of what you're going to now get from the leadership. And this time around, we used to feel that okay, security, they are not leadership. They are somewhere between us and the leadership somehow. But now, getting to them already, they are all this way. Two forces, like I said, two very strong forces. One is the Nigerian police, another is the armed forces. And I think, Percy, you have.
So I think So I think the responses from these authorities also generated a lot of discourse on this particular issue, because if you look at it like you can just easily say, okay, so one is for no grief for anybody,
yes,
and the other is
against
no grief for anybody. I think I have it somewhere here. Okay, so the police statement was by Olumiwa Adeojobi, first PRO,
right? Yeah.
He said, "We have been informed from our intelligence that this slogan is coming from a revolutionary sector that may likely cause problems across the country." That's the police. And the army is saying, a statement by Edward Buba, Director of Defense.
But wait, So imagine that the army did not say anything.
Yes.
And all we have put out there by the security agencies is this, that we have been informed from our intelligence. I'm going to come back to that this slogan is coming from a revolutionary sector that may likely cause problems across the country. I thought the meaning of intelligence is smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in this context, intelligence is all about collecting information from the public. Let me just say from the public. Smart information. Undercover information that would influence whatever decision that the security is going to take. So I think the fear is this. The fear is this.
Coming from revolutionary sector.
Yes. Okay. So I think the fear is this.
Which sector is revolutionary?
We had.
I think it's a PTSD as far as I'm concerned. I'm not.
NSAS, right?
Yes, from NSAS. I'm not questioning the intelligence arm of the Nigerian police, but then I think there's PTSD written all over the statements. Remember Sorosoke during the NSAS and how it spread like a pandemic across the country. And then I think this is the first time that Nigerians will unanimously come up with a catchphrase that, is popular in all parts of the country, the north, the south, everywhere, and everyone is, no Gree, even outside the country, no Gree, everyone is, So I think the security, the police in this context is not comfortable when Nigerians come together to agree on a particular thing or a subject matter, because from there because during the NSAS, it's people brought in different issues, and then the NSAS was like the umbrella. So I'm sure that's where the fear is coming from.
So we are united on no Gree. And it becomes a problem.
It's a problem.
And on our coat of arms,
it's safer when we don't agree.
So it looks as if it's safer. You know that kind of situation where someone that I know is like, anytime he comes, he has two wives. Anytime he comes to his house and sees the two wives chatting together and they are laughing together
in good terms,
he knows that there's problem for him.
So
the next thing is like you are traveling tomorrow. You're traveling. You move out to another place. Or if you want to stroke some kind of embers or something that will make the so that they will not exactly, because when he sees them fighting, he's like, I'm safe, I have no problem. So I think this is the kind of situation we find ourselves in this country. This other word, revolutionary sector.
I don't know which sector is that.
I don't know what sector is that.
I mean, it's young people.
It's young people actually. It's young people. You can easily
because it's scripted. I feel they should have come out to tell us who are the people that constitute that revolutionary sector, so we don't fraternize with them in our own no Gree, because we all have what our translations of no gree. Exactly, we define it differently. So if they had come clean to tell us that this is who the revolutionary people are, then we will avoid them.
Exactly.
In our not green for anybody.
I think what they did was more of trying to preempt what may likely come and then find a way of preventing it before it even happens. We just talked about the answers now. Nobody will want to have that kind of situation.
Yeah.
Which
ugly to be honest.
body?
The police.
Okay.
We are still talking about the police.
Because in fact, nobody would like to have that kind of situation.
Yes.
Well, but not only the police. I mean, no Nigerian would like. It's not like there were issues. Before it went south, and then we had violence and all of those things. There were issues, and those issues were they were valid, but it was the violence and the lives that were lost that I don't think any Nigerian is happy about that,
Very good.
So it's not
happy
only the
about the
police.
outcome.
Exactly.
But happy about
the
fact that the issues were there and people got to be united.
Talk about
if
it.
If we are going to see something better than that can actually see the light of day in a peaceful way, that's what we want to see.
Exactly.
So I think by and large the police reaction to this with this statement, it's kind of going against probably what the youths I would say stand for, because everybody has his own definition of no gree for anybody. Everybody has a different perception to it, and if you go looking into this thing, you see a lot of positives.
Has it actually even changed? Has anybody stopped using it?
No.
Has anybody been arrested for not using it?
A lot of people, criticized the police statement. A lot of people have criticized them. They came under a lot of attack for coming out to make that kind of statement. And I think this should lead us towards the army.
Yeah, okay, so let's
to what the army said about it.
Okay. So Edward Buba, Director of Defense Media Operations, said, make Nigerians no gree for terrorists this year. You see something, you say something, and we assure them of doing something.
You see, you know how to write on the back of the waves. When there's waves, and then you write against the waves, or this is just trying to tell you, people just look at things differently. People is whether you look at something half full or half empty. And I think at this point, the army was looking at it as half full. The police was looking at it as half empty. So you see, the negativity or the positivity is what tells you.
So it's like saying the army is approaching this civil.
Yes.
While the police
are supposed to be civil. He's approaching with.
And you see, there's a contradiction at this point. I mean, who are we supposed to listen to? Because the police is cautioning. In one of the stories, journalists now, how we capture our stories. The police warns against the use of this phrase, no gree for anybody, and then this is what the army is saying. And then if you listen to or if you read the police statement, they said, no gree for anybody could just be a normal talk for ordinary people, but for those in the security community, it is a dangerous language. Is the army not in the security community? So where is this contradiction coming from?
It's just a matter of understanding and then perception, and then also approach.
And it's telling us that they are as a community, they are not even on the same page.
When something happens, and even if it's something that is negative, and then someone comes with authority and railroads you, into the right way to be able to apply that. Somehow you'll be amenable to what that person says. It's like an instance of a child that becomes wayward and decides to wear sag jeans or wear torn jeans or decide to do, and says, I'm not going to go to church, what are they going to tell me, and all that. And then, of course, one day you see the pastor come out, and then he's wearing ripped jeans, and then he's having some kind of tattoo and all that, and wears a t-shirt. Somehow they're going to be like, wait, what's going on in this place? It looks like this is like something like, and that way, some people use that kind of tactics to be able to draw you. I think that's what the Nigerian if what these people are saying is going to be negative, let us try to bring it. Let's make it very civil. Let's make it positive.
And also focus it on the common enemy.
Yes,
terrorism,
kidnapping, that they are seriously fighting. Yes, so don't agree for those things to continue to happen. And in fact, if you tell us because you've seen it, we will do something about what you're talking about.
That's more result oriented.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Things happen, and then you know that these people they actually understand, and they're queuing into the spirit of the year.
Yeah.
You know, knowing that this is a
Yeah.
new year, and this is what all of us must fight.
That's a national slogan for this year.
No grief for anybody. So the funny thing about this thing for me is, and more interesting for me is how a slogan will just come up from nowhere, because up to now, I don't think we know the source of this slogan. It comes up and then it's like a wildfire.
You know,
Of course, because we have over 30 million active social media users in Nigeria, and most of them youth. So,
Exactly.
are you not surprised how just overnight, as if there was a meeting somewhere for this to be used at the beginning of the year?
Nigeria is a country of cruise. You know what cruise is?
Yeah, it's a
I'm sure
cruise
if I say
country.
if I say this thing somewhere in another country, even the Oibo man will not understand it if I say
No,
Nigeria is a
they
country
won't.
of cruise.
No, they won't.
So it's a cruise. We catch our cruise on anything, whatever it is that happens. I am just wondering why we have. If I say something, I'm sure all of you have an answer. You will explain tire.
No evidence.
Very good. So that's another slogan, and I'm sure that also started around the end of last year or beginning of this year. Why is the police or the army not interested? That is another
In
thing.
that
It's not,
one.
I'm not. I'm going to maybe try to explain on that. But I think in Nigeria, anything that happens and people just catch it, it becomes a trend.
Yeah.
And maybe because of our number, maybe because of how forceful we are, maybe because of our kind of presence on social media, maybe because of how we lead when it comes to every aspect of life in Africa. So even wherever Nigerians are trending, the Ghanaians will join, the Cameroonians, forget all the fight that we are fighting online, that this and that.
Because of
Exactly,
Yeah,
because of AFCON, because of jollof rice,
Yeah.
because of all those things. But I'm sure that whatever happens that trends in Nigeria, will trend in Ghana, will trend in Cameroon, will trend in Kenya. And then of course, all those ones in between, definitely they're going to follow the tide. You know?
I really think if the government really wants to do something very good for this country, if we have active users on social media, over 30 million, and most of these age brackets, 18, 30, 40 and all that, you can use leverage on this.
The National Orientation Agency
Yes.
should jump on this kind of trends and then
Of
be able
course,
to stop
of
people
course.
from doing the japa that they're doing. That's
Of
all
course.
they should be doing. But they are quiet. The army has already shown the way. This is how to be able to do this.
Now,
approach this.
now
Yes.
I'm thinking, just like you said, Nigeria, we are always coming up with new trends. You know.
Yes.
In fact, there are some words that have found their way to the Urban Dictionary.
Yeah.
Like last year, I know there was one of the trends was it last year or the year before, that if something excites you, you say Mado.
Mado.
So there's this joke that was told about someone that went to a church. I mean, it's just a joke.
Yeah.
That is it the pastor was praying for him and he said, okay, what do you want? Just say whatever you want. And the guy said Mado, and then he ran mad.
Yeah.
It's just a joke, and that tells us that a positive thing can be used negatively.
Negative, yeah.
And you agree with me that there are people who are catching on with the negative aspect of this no grief for anybody. There are a lot of people that are even saying, wives shouldn't grieve for their husbands, or there are a lot of this, interpretations, and I think we should talk about
I
it.
think I saw a funny post on Facebook that a lot of women are leaving their husbands because of no grief for anybody. Very, very funny. There is no proof to that anyway.
And husbands are also leaving their wives because of no grief for anybody.
You see.
There's no proof to that anyway. But like you rightly said, a lot of people will use it negatively, and then some will use it positively. It depends on how you see it, and it depends on the lens at which you use to actually view this particular. Go on social media, more especially Facebook. I don't want to go to Twitter.
Yes.
Go on Facebook.
Yes.
You will see vendors. You see vendors saying, no grief for anybody. This year, no credit to. If you are owing, pay because this year, no grief for anybody.
Those ones have been saying for a long time. Those people that used to write no credit, come back
tomorrow.
So it's been like this for a very long time. So people use it, understand it differently, and it affects how you use it and how you relate to this particular a slogan for 2024. But I will employ everybody. Use it positively.
Mm-hmm.
What are the things that held you back last year? No grief for them this year.
Mm-hmm.
What are the challenges we had last year? No grief for them this year. Try and change it, right? Is it financial challenges? Is it jobs that you didn't get jobs last year? No grief for them this year. Try and get a trade, learn something. There are a lot of jobs on online, and there are a lot of skills that you can learn online that will bring you 1 kobo, 1 naira, and all that. Despite the economic hardship, just look out for something that will spice up your year. No grief for anything that will draw you back. Grief for all the things that will take you forward and make you to prosper this year.
I think
that's what I think.
Yeah, I understand. This is 5 minutes. But I think that sometimes it's not even about no grief for somebody. You should also not grieve for some of the things that inhibit your own growth. You understand? If you were someone that used to procrastinate, I'll do this one now, I'll do this one now, I'll not do that.
That's you.
No grief for that one, so don't agree for yourself.
This one is not to self.
Exactly. So we will tell ourselves that we wanted to start this podcast 8 months ago. Up to now, we've just started. So we have not agreed.
Yes.
This year, we are not agreeing for ourselves.
So you can see that it's working. If it is something that, okay, you don't want to study or you're lackadaisical about it, no agree. This year, try and make sure you do that. Yeah. If you used to wake up at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and then actually you needed to wake up by 7 o'clock, no agree. Start waking up early to bed, early to rise, you know. So some of those things I think we need to start telling ourselves first. I was trying to, as you were talking, I was going through social media on one of the newspapers, Leadership, because a lot of people have written about these things. And I think they've tried to speak to a few people, and to them, they feel the statement came from a place of where youth have reckoned that it is time that as youth to begin to contribute their part to the evolution of good governance in the country. They meant things like no grief for contractors who come to your village and do shoddy work. Instead of keeping quiet. You know, contractors came, they're supposed to put together like they do some shoddy work and leave and you keep quiet. No grief. Exactly. No grief. So if something happens, which there's a road that actually in my able one. Contractors came, cut the whole of that place, I've forgotten their name. As you're passing Magula before you get to the junction where you have the road going to Zing, one going to Jada. There's one very terrible spot there. It's not up to 20 meters or 50. They came there, took out all the sand as if they were doing something very serious, put everything on this is sweet. The same trucks that finished fixing it as they were trying to leave, they scattered the whole place again. The place is worse off than it had left. I think some of the trucks are there. I think the young people did not agree for them to move some of their things from there. So the things are still there, the road is still bad. Whether they have been paid or they have not been paid is another thing. So I think it's a very good thing. We should look at it positively. No grief this year for anyone that has the responsibility to do something close to you and has refused to do it. You know, if I see you beating a child in a way that is not, you can be the mother of the child.
In a way that is not pleasing to the Lord.
I'm not agree. We have problems here. True. You know, so these are some of the things. Don't just, if you see a child running and then it's not working, go there and turn it off. You know, you don't need to tell anybody. Someone throws garbage out of the car window. Go to this thing, take it, throw it back inside the car, and then tell the person, this year we don't agree.
If you see someone trying to get illegal connection, electricity, power theft.
Hey!
No grief for
No grief for it. Meanwhile, don't go and fight with your boss unless you have another job. Even if you have another job, don't go and fight with your boss. If you are riding keke, don't go and argue with a trailer and say you not agree for anybody. So use it positively.
Use it wisely.
Use it wisely.
Don't go and,
no grief for anybody is no madness.
Have you listened to the song by what's the name? Determination? No grief for anybody. Very good party jams. I was like, man, Nigeria. Just wait for things to come and then
And he jumped on
I jumped on it.
That's so nice.
And before you know it, there will be t-shirts everywhere. Someone
of
will
course.
produce t-shirts and
Of
stuff.
course.
And that shirt will sell. Even me, I will buy it if I see it.
People are making money from this slogan,
Yeah.
and then someone will just sit down and be thinking of the negative side of it. Always be positive. Always
Positivity.
Think
That's
of-
what we
yeah.
have also.
Yeah, think of the positive side of it. How
We
it
are telling our
affects you.
friends, the police.
Yes.
Police is your friend.
Please,
So our friends, please.
I beg.
Grief for us, I
Grief
think.
for us. Grief for us. There's nothing bad in trying to say, oh, we withdraw this one. We did not think that it was this positive. And then now we agree. Let us try to not agree for crime.
Exactly.
Let us not agree for pilfering. Let's not agree for stealing. Let's not. Maybe no grief for all those things the
Exactly.
police talk
We
to
can
them,
grieve
no
from the same side.
Exactly. And then
I'm not
I'm
good
sure
for
we have
the
it.
for the same side.
Exactly.
I think that is my true couple.